Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when the noise around us becomes louder than our own voice. People talk, they give opinions, they tell us what we should do and what we shouldn't. And in trying to answer them, we slowly forget to listen to ourselves. Silence is strength, not weakness. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, choosing silence becomes a powerful act. When people expect you to react, to defend yourself, or to argue, and you choose to remain calm and composed, it surprises them. Silence holds a kind of quiet confidence that words often fail to carry. It shows that you are not easily shaken by what others say. It reflects self-control, emotional maturity, and inner strength. There is strength in not reacting, because reacting is easy, but responding with patience is powerful. When someone throws negativity your way, your silence is not a sign that you agree with them. It is a sign that their words are not worthy of your energy. It is the ability to pick your battles wisely. Not every statement requires a reply. Not every challenge requires a reaction. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. When you stay silent, you allow the other person to reveal more about their character than you ever could through argument. Your silence becomes a mirror in which their intentions and attitudes reflect clearly. Silence gives you space to think before you speak. In moments of anger, fear, or frustration, silence protects you from saying things you might regret. Words once spoken cannot be taken back, but silence can hold back storms. It allows emotions to settle, thoughts to become clear, and actions to be thoughtful. People who understand the power of silence know that silence does not mean they are weak. It means they are in control of themselves. They understand that their peace is more valuable than winning a pointless argument. There is also a unique kind of strength in silent observation. When you stop speaking for a moment, you start noticing. You hear what others miss. You see the truth behind fake smiles, the intention behind sweet words, and the insecurity behind loud criticism. Silence gives you insight. It sharpens your understanding of people and situations. It gives you the upper hand, because while others are busy making noise, you are busy learning. Silence also protects your dignity. Sometimes the loudest voices are not the wisest. Arguing with people who have no interest in understanding you only drags you down to their level. By staying silent, you rise above their chaos. You protect your reputation, your peace, and your focus. People respect those who don't waste their words. Silence shows confidence. It shows that you are not desperate to prove yourself to anyone. Many people misunderstand silence as helplessness, but the truth is, only strong people can stay calm when provoked. Only strong people can hold their emotions in check when others try to break them. Weakness is in losing control. Strength is in staying composed. Choosing silence requires discipline. It requires belief in yourself and trust in the timing of life. It requires understanding that not everything needs an immediate reaction. Silence is also a quiet way of setting boundaries. When you don't respond to disrespect, you send a clear message. Your energy is not available for negativity. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your silence speaks volumes. It communicates that you value your peace more than winning temporary battles. It shows that your strength comes from within, not from the approval or validation of others. In silence, you regain power over yourself. You stop being controlled by what others say or do. You become the calm in the middle of the storm. Your silence becomes your shield, your wisdom, and your strength. It allows you to focus on what truly matters instead of getting lost in the noise of the world. Focusing on your own growth is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. When you shift your attention inward, you stop wasting energy on things you cannot control. Growth starts the moment you decide to look at yourself honestly, without excuses or comparison. It's about asking yourself where you are, where you want to be, and what steps you're willing to take to get there. This kind of focus requires self-awareness and patience. It is not about being perfect, it's about becoming better, one step at a time. When you focus on your own growth, you stop seeking validation from others. You begin to understand that your journey is unique and cannot be measured by someone else's timeline. People grow in different ways and at different speeds. Comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20 only distracts you from the work you need to do on yourself. Real growth happens quietly. It's in the moments when no one is watching, when you choose to keep going despite setbacks, when you push yourself to improve even when it's uncomfortable. Self-growth requires consistency. It's not a one-day task. It's a daily decision, whether it's learning something new, breaking an old habit, or developing discipline. It takes time. You may not see changes immediately, but focusing on yourself means trusting the process. Just like a seed planted in the soil, growth happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Every effort, every bit of self-work adds up. Even small steps forward are progress. It's also about setting boundaries. When you focus on yourself, you learn to protect your time, your energy, and your mental space. You stop allowing people's negativity or distractions to pull you away from your goals. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. Focusing on your growth sometimes means saying no to things that don't serve you anymore. It means walking away from unhealthy situations so that you can make space for better opportunities. Personal growth isn't always glamorous. It involves facing uncomfortable truths about yourself. It requires admitting your weaknesses and working on them, instead of hiding behind excuses. It's about self-reflection and being honest with yourself when no one else is around. Growth happens when you accept responsibility for your life. Instead of blaming others, you focus on what you can change within yourself. This mindset shifts your entire perspective and gives you power over your own path. When you focus on yourself, you also stop chasing people or approval. You realize that not everyone will support you, and that's okay. Growth is personal, and not everyone needs to understand it. What matters is that you believe in what you're doing and remain committed. The more you invest in yourself, the more confident you become. Confidence doesn't come from people praising you. It comes from knowing you're becoming better than who you were yesterday. Focusing on growth also teaches you patience. There will be times when progress feels slow or invisible. There will be days when motivation fades. But focusing on yourself means showing up even when it's hard. It's about trusting that your efforts will pay off eventually. You learn to celebrate small victories along the way and keep your eyes on the bigger picture. Growth is a personal journey that requires silence, dedication, and resilience. It's about understanding that your path is yours alone, and no one else can walk it for you. When you truly focus on yourself, distractions lose their power. Other people's opinions become less important. What matters most is the commitment you make to your own improvement, the discipline you build, and the strength you gain along the way. Not every comment deserves a response. In life, people will always have something to say. Some will offer genuine advice, while others will speak just to criticize or provoke a reaction. If you choose to respond to every single comment, you end up draining your energy on things that don't matter. You lose focus on your own goals and get pulled into unnecessary discussions that bring no growth. It's important to understand that silence is sometimes a wiser answer than words. When you don't react to every opinion, you are not ignoring reality. You are choosing where to invest your energy. There will always be people who misunderstand you, judge you, or talk behind your back. That is something you cannot control. What you can control is how you respond. If you try to explain yourself to everyone, you will spend your entire life defending instead of living. Not every comment deserves the dignity of a reply. Some comments are made out of jealousy, insecurity, or a desire to bring you down. By responding to them, you give those words power. But by staying silent, you take that power back. Choosing not to respond doesn't mean you agree with what's being said. It means you understand that your time and peace are more valuable than unnecessary arguments. It means you know that your truth doesn't need constant defending. When someone tries to provoke you, your calmness unsettles them more than your words ever could. Silence in such moments becomes your strength, not your weakness. It's easy to fall into the trap of defending yourself to everyone. You might feel the urge to correct every false statement, to explain your intentions, to prove yourself, but this habit only exhausts you mentally and emotionally. The more you explain, the more you invite people to question even more. Some individuals are not looking for understanding. They are simply looking for a reaction. Once you recognize this, you'll stop giving every comment your attention. Sometimes the best response is to keep moving forward. When people see that their words have no effect on you, they lose interest. Your silence becomes your shield. It protects your mental space from being filled with unnecessary negativity. You don't have to fight every battle that's presented to you. Wisdom is knowing which battles are worth your time and which ones are better left unanswered. By not responding to every comment, you also show emotional maturity. You prove that your peace is not easily disturbed. You send a silent message that your focus is on your growth, not on people's opinions. When you stop engaging in petty conversations, you rise above them. You build a reputation for being calm and composed, someone who doesn't get involved in meaningless noise. Not all comments come from a place of truth. Many come from personal biases, limited perspectives, or emotional reaction. If you respond to everything, you end up living your life according to other people's moods and opinions. That's why it's necessary to filter what deserves your voice and what doesn't. Not every situation needs your explanation. Not every person needs your justification. When you learn to let comments pass without reacting, you become stronger mentally. You stop letting words control your emotions. You stop getting distracted by unnecessary noise. This doesn't mean you stop standing up for yourself when it truly matters, but it means you choose your moments wisely. You decide when your voice adds value and when silence says more than words ever could. Become the example, not the argument. The most powerful way to influence others is through the way you live, not through endless discussions. When you constantly argue or try to convince people of your worth, you give away your power. But when you focus on being the example, you let your life speak for itself. People may ignore what you say, but they pay attention to what you do. A single action can inspire more than 1,000 words. When your behavior reflects your values, your character becomes your strongest message. Arguments often turn into a battle of egos where the goal shifts from understanding to winning. In such situations, even the truth can lose its impact. People rarely change their minds because of heated words, but they do notice quiet consistency. When you embody the principles you believe in, others can see the results with their own eyes. This silent proof is far more convincing than any debate. By becoming the example, you create a kind of influence that doesn't need to be shouted. It's felt, seen, and remembered. Being the example means leading with action. If you want respect, treat others with respect. If you want kindness, practice kindness. If you want success, work hard consistently. Instead of telling people what they should do, show them through your behavior. People trust actions more than advice. When your actions and words align, you build authenticity, and authenticity is what inspires others. People follow those who walk their talk, not those who only speak beautifully. Becoming the example also requires patience. People might not notice your efforts right away, and they may even doubt you in the beginning. But if you stay consistent, time will reveal the truth. Real change and real influence take time to build. Arguing can give temporary satisfaction, but being the example leaves a lasting impact. Over time, even those who once doubted you will start to see the difference between words and actions. It's easy to get caught up in defending yourself, especially when people misunderstand your intentions. But sometimes, the best response is to let your life do the talking. When you stay focused on your path and keep living with integrity, the need to argue fades away. People who truly observe will notice the truth without you having to prove it again and again. This doesn't mean staying silent when something truly needs to be addressed, but it means understanding that constant arguing often leads nowhere. Being the example also strengthens your character. When you stop wasting energy on endless explanations, you redirect that energy into building yourself. You become more disciplined, more focused, and more peaceful. You don't need to chase validation because your actions naturally earn respect. The more you live by your values, the less you feel the need to convince anyone. Your growth and behavior become undeniable evidence of who you are. There's also a quiet kind of power in this approach. People may not admit it, but they are often inspired by those who remain calm and steady while everyone else is busy arguing. Your silence combined with consistent action makes a deeper impact than loud debate. Over time, you become someone others look up to, not because you forced them to, but because you gave them a living example to learn from. Becoming the example is about trust, consistency, and integrity. It's about showing through your actions what you stand for. Arguments may fade, words may be forgotten, but the example you set stays in people's minds. Your actions become a silent teacher, influencing more lives than arguments ever could.
Bloom quietly. Success will make the noise. There is a special kind of strength in growing silently, without announcing every step you take. In a world where everyone wants to show their progress before it's complete, choosing to work quietly is powerful. It allows you to focus fully on your goals, without the distractions that come from constant validation seeking. Quiet growth gives you space to make mistakes, learn, and improve away from judgment. When you're not busy proving yourself to others, you can put all your energy into actually becoming better. Blooming quietly doesn't mean hiding or being afraid. It means understanding that real success doesn't need early applause. A flower doesn't make a sound when it grows. It simply reaches toward the light, until one day it stands tall and beautiful. In the same way, when you focus on your personal development, with patience and dedication, your achievements will eventually speak for themselves. People will notice when the results are undeniable. Success has a way of attracting attention on its own, without you having to force it. When you talk too much about your plans before they're complete, you open doors to unnecessary opinions, expectations, and pressure. Some people may discourage you, others may secretly hope you fail, and many will judge your progress before it's ready. By keeping your growth private, you protect it. You give your dreams time to take root deeply before they face the world. Strong roots grow in silence, and only then can they support a blooming tree that can withstand any storm. Working quietly also teaches discipline. When there's no audience to impress, the only motivation that remains is your inner drive. This kind of motivation is more powerful and lasting than the temporary push that comes from external praise. You learn to rely on your commitment rather than the noise around you. Quiet workers often produce the strongest results because their focus is not divided between performance and presentation. They are too busy growing to worry about how they look while doing it. Blooming quietly shields you from unnecessary comparison. When you're not constantly putting your progress on display, you stop measuring yourself against others. You stop worrying about who is ahead or behind. Your journey becomes yours alone, steady and personal. This allows you to work at your own pace and develop genuine confidence. The less you share prematurely, the more freedom you give yourself to evolve without outside interference. There is also beauty in surprising people with your results rather than your intention. When you work quietly, people may underestimate you or not notice your efforts, and that's perfectly fine. Because the moment your success blooms, it speaks louder than any introduction. The sudden visibility of your hard work catches attention naturally. You don't need to announce your growth because the impact of your results will do that for you. Quiet growth is not about staying small. It's about preparing well before stepping into the light. Just like a tree spends years growing underground before breaking through the soil, true success requires a foundation built away from the spotlight. The more patiently you build, the stronger you stand when the time comes to show the world what you've become. Blooming quietly also keeps your mind peaceful. It reduces the pressure of constant explanations and expectations. You can adjust, fail, and restart without the fear of judgment, because no one is watching every step. This peaceful space gives your creativity and determination room to grow. It allows you to focus on the process rather than the performance. In the end, when success finally arrives, it carries its own noise. It draws attention not because you demanded it, but because you earned it through dedication and silent hard work.
Comparison kills focus. When you spend your time looking at what others are doing, you slowly lose sight of your own path. The more you compare, the more distracted you become from the work you need to do on yourself. Everyone has a different story, a different timeline, and a different journey. Comparing your beginning to someone else's middle or end only creates unnecessary pressure and self-doubt. It shifts your attention from your progress to their progress, which is something you cannot control. Focus is a fragile thing, and comparison is one of the quickest ways to break it. It's natural to notice what others are achieving, but when it turns into comparison, it starts to damage your confidence. You may begin to question your worth or feel like you're falling behind. This mindset steals your energy and weakens your motivation. Instead of putting your effort into improving yourself, you end up wasting it on overthinking why you're not where someone else is. But everyone moves at their own pace. What took one person a year might take another 5, and that's okay because the journey is not meant to be the same for everyone. When you constantly compare, you overlook your own progress. You become so focused on what's missing that you forget how far you've come. You may have achieved things that others haven't, but comparison blinds you from appreciating that. It creates a cycle where nothing ever feels enough, no matter how much you accomplish. This cycle leads to frustration, envy, and a loss of direction. Your growth slows down because your mind is busy competing with others instead of improving yourself. Comparison also shifts your focus from action to observation. Instead of taking steps toward your goals, you spend time watching others take theirs. You start following their patterns, imitating their moves, or doubting your own choices. This takes away your originality and creativity. The moment you try to walk someone else's path, you lose your own. True focus comes from staying centered on your journey, not from chasing what others are doing. Another danger of comparison is that it often focuses only on the visible part of someone's life. You might see their success, but you don't see their struggles, sacrifices, or failures. You see the highlight reel, not the behind-the-scenes work. Comparing your real life to someone else's filtered version creates an unfair picture. It's like judging your entire story by looking at one page of someone else's book. This leads to insecurity and misplaced goals. Comparison also distracts you emotionally. Instead of feeling inspired by someone else's achievements, you may feel bitter or discouraged. Your focus shifts from growing to competing unnecessarily. You begin to make decisions not based on what's right for you, but on what others are doing. This kind of distraction can take you far away from your original vision. You might even achieve something just to prove a point, only to realize it doesn't bring you happiness, because it wasn't truly your goal to begin with. To maintain focus, you have to bring your attention back to yourself. Acknowledge your strengths, accept your pace, and stay consistent with your efforts. The only person you should compare yourself to is the version of you from yesterday. When you focus on your own improvement, comparison loses its power. Instead of competing with others, you start collaborating with yourself. Your focus becomes sharper because your energy is no longer scattered. Comparison kills focus because it feeds doubt, envy, and distraction. The more you compare, the less time and clarity you have for your own growth. The moment you choose to shift your gaze inward, you regain control over your direction. You stop measuring your worth by someone else's timeline and start valuing your own unique journey. Let actions speak louder than words. Words can be powerful, but they lose their value when not supported by real effort. Many people talk about their dreams, their goals, and their intentions, but only a few take the quiet, consistent steps required to bring those words to life. Actions carry a weight that words never can. When you act, you show the world what you truly stand for. You don't have to explain your plans repeatedly when your work becomes visible on its own. People may doubt what you say, but they cannot deny what you do. When you let your actions do the talking, you focus less on seeking approval and more on actual progress. Talking too much about your plans can sometimes create unnecessary pressure or even attract negative energy from those who don't want to see you succeed. But when you work silently, you build strength away from the spotlight. You allow your results to surprise people instead of giving them time to doubt you. Quiet work creates solid foundations that cannot be shaken easily, because they are built through genuine effort, not empty promises. Actions also build credibility. Words may impress for a moment, but actions create lasting trust. People remember what you do far more than what you say. If your actions align with your words, your character becomes stronger and more respected. But if your words are loud and your actions are weak, people stop taking you seriously. Consistent action is what turns vision into reality. Even small, repeated efforts build momentum over time. That's why it's important to focus on doing, not just talking. There is also a quiet confidence that comes from taking action without seeking attention. When you work steadily behind the scenes, you grow without distractions. You don't have to keep explaining or proving your worth, because your work will eventually reflect your ability. Every action you take toward your goals adds a brick to the structure you are building. Over time, that structure becomes strong enough to speak for itself. Letting your actions speak also protects you from unnecessary judgment. When you talk too much about your dreams, people start forming opinions, giving advice you didn't ask for, or even discouraging you. Some may not understand your vision, and others may secretly hope you fail. But when you quietly take steps and let results appear when they're ready, you keep control of your journey. You don't give anyone the chance to weaken your motivation with their doubts. Actions are also a powerful answer to criticism. When someone doubts you, arguing with them rarely changes their mind. But achieving something through your work changes everything. Success built through action silences negativity better than any debate. Your progress becomes undeniable. Instead of wasting energy on convincing others, you invest that energy in moving forward, and eventually your achievements speak louder than any words could. Focusing on action also develops discipline. Talking is easy and gives temporary satisfaction, but acting requires effort, patience, and consistency. When you rely on action, you stop depending on external validation. You understand that real results come from showing up every day, even when no one is watching, even when no one claps. That kind of quiet persistence creates true strength. People may forget promises, but they notice results. When your work speaks for itself, respect follows naturally. You don't need to shout about your capabilities. Your achievements make the noise for you. By letting your actions speak, you build a legacy that lasts longer than any speech. You create impact through what you do, not what you claim to do. And that is where true influence lies. Protect your energy from unnecessary noise. Your energy is one of your most valuable assets, and where you choose to spend it shapes your entire life. There will always be distractions, opinions, arguments, and negativity around you. But not everything deserves your attention. If you allow every bit of noise to enter your mind, you'll find yourself tired, unfocused, and emotionally drained. Protecting your energy means being selective about what and who you let affect you. It's about understanding that peace is not found by controlling the world outside, but by controlling your responses inside. People will always talk. Some will encourage you, while others will criticize without reason. If you try to respond to every voice, you'll lose sight of your own goals. Protecting your energy requires you to tune out the unnecessary chatter and focus on what truly matters. You cannot grow if your mind is constantly busy with useless noise. You have to create mental space where your thoughts, dreams, and plans can grow without being interrupted by negativity. This means setting boundaries, not to isolate yourself, but to preserve your clarity. Social situations, environments, and even online spaces can be full of noise. Sometimes, it's not even external voices, but internal noise that drains your energy. Doubts, fears, and overthinking can become louder than reality. Protecting your energy also means learning how to calm your own thoughts. It's about knowing when to step back, breathe, and choose peace over unnecessary reaction. The more you protect your mental space, the more power you have to focus on your growth. You don't need to be involved in every conversation. You don't need to argue with everyone who misunderstands you. You don't have to explain your choices to people who aren't walking your path. This is where protecting your energy becomes powerful. Instead of reacting emotionally to everything around you, you learn to observe calmly and respond only when it adds value. Not every situation deserves your voice, and not every comment deserves your emotion. Protecting your energy also involves recognizing which people drain you. Some individuals thrive on drama, complaints, and negativity. If you keep giving your attention to such energy, you'll eventually feel exhausted without even realizing why. You need to identify the people, places, and habits that weaken your focus and set clear boundaries with them. This doesn't mean being rude or distant. It means valuing your peace enough to choose carefully where your attention goes. Another form of unnecessary noise comes from constantly seeking validation. When your energy is focused on what others think, you lose connection with yourself. You start making choices to please people instead of following what truly matters to you. Protecting your energy means breaking free from that need. It's about trusting your decisions, believing in your direction, and not allowing every opinion to shake your confidence. The world moves fast, and information is everywhere. It's easy to get lost in a sea of voices, trends, and distractions. Protecting your energy means being mindful of what you consume. What you listen to, watch, and read affects your mindset. If you constantly fill your mind with negativity, it becomes harder to stay calm and focused. But when you choose to feed your mind with positive and meaningful things, your inner strength grows. When you protect your energy from unnecessary noise, you create space for growth, peace, and clarity. You stop reacting to every disturbance and start choosing your battles wisely. You gain emotional stability and mental strength. Your focus becomes sharper, your heart lighter, and your direction clearer. Instead of being pulled by the world's noise, you begin to move with purpose and